I think it's over. I think humanity is cooked. You know how you ask yourself on like a daily basis, just how dumb can people be? And that question is supposed to be rhetorical. And I ask myself this question probably more than most because, you know, I do the internet. But you know how when you see the dumb on the internet, it's people who are like over there. Are they even people? They could be Russian bots. They might be trolls looking for attention. There's just always that plausible deniability, that part deep down in the back of your brain that's like, I've seen the evidence, but also it could be not real, right? People could not be this dumb. And even when you see those dumb memes shared by the people you know in your hometown, and you're like, okay, but they're just ignorant, and they did a lot of whippets in high school, and it's not entirely their fault. Point being is we usually find some way to reconcile the stupidity we see in the world with our deeply held beliefs that it is humanly impossible to be that stupid. But I had a moment the other day that broke that for me. On my personal social media page, I shared this meme from The Onion, making fun of Chuck Schumer selling us all out and voting on the budget deal. And I was certain on this one that anybody with enough synapses to support, you know, basic life functions would get it. I was wrong. A person who I know actually exists in real life and who comments a lot on a lot of my anti-MAGA stuff commented this, thinking that they caught me in a gotcha where I unwittingly called Chuck Schumer a coward, and then explained that to me by taking an entire paragraph to explain the joke I posted. Pause to read it. I can't read it out loud anymore or my brain will break, but they gave me the definition of courage, and then they're like, if he pulled back from courage, that would make him a coward. So you're agreeing that the Democrats are being cowards. Wow. Yep, that's the joke. I just responded with a snarky response because I'm like, I don't have the crayons for this. No, I know you're probably thinking, I can totally see how that is the non-rhetorical answer to the rhetorical question, how dumb can people be? But hold on, we're not there yet. Because I was like, you know what, no, I get it, they're in a cult, right? So they can't fathom what it's like to not be in a cult. And they just assume that because I criticize their cult, the only possible explanation is that I am insanely devoted to another cult which they view as the opposite of their cult, which is the Democratic Party. Obviously, an adult with any more critical thinking skills than a slightly moldy yam can understand that any other reasonable adult can be critical of the elected officials that work for them, even if they happen to be a part of the party that they themselves voted for. Because, you know, it's not a fucking sports team, you fucking weirdos. But I get it, right? They've got no empathetic ability to understand any perspective but their own, and because they would never dream of criticizing any member of the Cheddar Cheese Charles Manson family, they can only assume that we would never criticize any member of what they think is the opposite of that. And therefore, I must have just been an idiot who accidentally called Chuckle Schumer a coward. I'm like, okay, I can live with that. It is insane levels of stupid, but stupid I'm used to, and I can handle that. I can reconcile that and go on with my life. But they had to respond again. This is what did it for me. This is what convinced me that humanity has peaked as a species and we're on a downhill slide. First, after assuring me that they themselves thought that they were pretty smart, they proceeded to ask me where the link was to the Onion article. They even told me that they went to the Onion's page and all they could find was a photo, you know, underneath the news in photos category. And then they said because they couldn't find a link that it seems like propaganda. And then asked if I find the link to the article to share it with them. The link to the Onion article that doesn't exist. Guys, I had to explain to an adult human being who saw a meme from The Onion saying that Chuck Schumer pulled Democrats back from the brink of courage, that it wasn't a real article, and that The Onion is satire. The most famous satire publication in maybe the history of the world. And I had to do this because they were convinced that they were smart enough to Sherlock Holmes their way through sniffing out propaganda from a fake news website or something that they thought I missed. And that website was The Onion. Anyway, we had a good run, guys. Right, gave her the old college try. Well, some of us did. I'm gonna go see if I can find some Brawndo, because I hear it's got what plants need, and apparently we're living with a bunch of fucking vegetables.